Okay, we'll get started. It's a pleasure and an honor to welcome Lucas Glover into the interview room here at the Wyndham Championship. Lucas, you've made more starts than anyone at this tournament since 2004. I know it means so much to you. Talk a little bit about what winning this tournament means.
Yeah, it's huge, obviously. Pretty close to home, and had a lot of family here when I was growing up. Spent a lot of time here at Sedgefield, actually. Had a couple uncles that were members, and came up here a good bit and remember the pool and thought it was the best pool ever because they had a high dive. I remember that. Yeah, very special. I've known Mark and Bobby on the staff here for 30 years, and they run a great event, and the Wyndham guys always treat us great. And always had a pretty fond place in my heart for this course, and always seem to feel good when I get here. So good to play well.
And talk about the emotion of winning on August the 6th.
Yeah, no, that's huge. It was my grandfather's birthday. He'd been 97 today. He got me started playing and was my mentor and my hero and all that stuff. So tried not to think about it too much until the end there. But I'd like to think I had a leg up on everybody today because of that. But still had to do what I had to do.
And last question before we open it up. You moved to number 49 in the FedEx Cup standings. The total outlook has now changed heading into next week. Talk a little bit about the expectations going into the playoffs.
Yeah, expectations are going to be what they are every week. You try to prepare, and if you're coming off a start, you try to rest and recover and get back at it. Last time I played Memphis, I played very well, so excited to get back there. I think it's one of the more underrated courses on the tour. Nobody ever talks about TPC Southwind. It's really good. Good test. Changed a lot, similar to here when they went to Bermuda Greens, but excited to get there whenever that is. I don't know. Don't have any plans yet, but we'll figure it out sometime. Yeah, it's just let this soak in and get my body and my mind right and get back to work Tuesday or Wednesday.
All right, open up to questions. JD?
Yeah, Lucas, I talked to Jay Haas earlier. He said back in the day that your grandfather and you showed up at his house kind of when asking for advice. You were about 10, 11 years old, and Jay just kind of said, just let him play golf. I mean, is that something, you mentioned a little bit about Jay Haas and your relationship with him.
Yeah, it was more of my grandfather went to Jay and said, I don't know what else to teach him and where do I go, and Jay's advice was, you got two options, and the first one was Dick Harmon, and the second one David Ledbetter, and Jay's advice was to go see them both, and we went to see Dick, and never made it to David. Nothing against David, just fell in love with Dick, and that was most of that conversation.
All right, let's go Ron, and then Sam.
I probably know half the answer, but what led you to make that putter change in particular, and how different do you feel now than you did 3 months ago or so?
Honestly, I was down to I knew I had the 2 weeks off before Memorial. I had some family stuff during Colonial, and then I was off PGA because I wasn't in. And I'd made up my mind that something was going to change then, and I was going to try the long one, and then if I didn't feel good, I was going to try left-handed. That's how far down the road I was. Nothing I did worked. Nothing I practiced worked. It was, the brain was just fried. 10 years of dealing with it and not understanding it and not realizing or not comprehending how it could happen, that I could just lose all feeling over a 10-inch putt. And it was frustrating. I fought it for a long time, and I'd been kicking it around with Fax. Fax and I'd been working together a little bit, and it just wasn't translating onto the course. And he finally said, I think you need to try this. So I did. I just ordered one and asked for Adam Scott's specs from the putter rep, and I said, we're about the same height. I don't want to know anything else, and I'll teach myself how to do this. Spent a couple days in the garage and figured out how to stand, and then took it to the practice green and spent about 10 days working on it, and then took it to Memorial and putted nice. My misses weren't that crazy, awful, yippee stroke. They were just misses, and that's okay. And then once I figured out my tendencies with it, it became fun to kind of teach myself. And I think I said it last night or yesterday, but it's kind of that thing. If you ever want a tour player to practice more, you give them a new club, right? They've got to get used to it and figure it out, and that's kind of how it's been. And it's just basically a whole new motor skill. It's a whole new brain function because it's so different and so out there from what I was doing. And that's what was going to happen left-handed as well. It was just something completely new that I'd never been taught, never been over-taught, and it just clicked. It worked. And it was one of those, Tommy Lamb, my caddy, he just said, it's going to be a process. We're going to have to work with it. And I missed some short ones in Detroit. But, again, they were just misses. They were a misread or a bad speed or a lip out or whatever. And you walk off the green like that, you're like, whatever. But the other way, it was debilitating almost because I had no control. Not that we have control over anything, but I had no control over my faculties sometimes. And that was difficult to understand, difficult to deal with.
Is that Gibbs?
Yeah, 100%. And, it's, talking about it and being upfront about it's been as much freeing as anything. It's just what it is. And it forced this change and, 4 top 6s later, here I am. So must have been the right thing. And Tommy said, he said, I don't think you need to think too much about this other than this thing's resurrected a lot of people's careers. And he said, and it may work, it may not. He said, but from what I've seen, it looks good. And he and I are really the only ones that have worked on it. And I've told him what I feel, and he tells me what he sees. And I didn't want any outside input on it. I don't want to know the loft and the lie and the facing. I don't want to know that. I just want to know what it feels like and what it looks like to him, and that's kind of what we've been doing.
All right, let's go Sam, and then over to Helen, and then we'll come to the back row.
You touched on it briefly, but as you walked off the 18th green, walked down the stairs, you went straight to a large group of folks and celebrated and pointed up to the sky. Who were those people, and what were you pointing at?
Those were 3 of my 4 living uncles. My mom's in the front row. She has 5 brothers, and some of their kids and their kids. So uncles, aunts, cousins, second cousins, friends, just big support group here. 2.5, 3 hours from my hometown, and I had a friend drive up from Charleston, and my immediate family's here, minus my wife, and it was just they all knew my grandfather in some way, family or not, and I had 2 uncles drive from Greenville this morning to come, and that was very cool. So I knew I wouldn't see them after because of the situation here with the weather and the darkness, so I just wanted to say my thank you that way for coming and supporting me.
All right, let's go Helen and then Adam.
There's Helen.
I noticed your kids are here. Can you talk about winning in front of them? Have they ever seen you win, and what was that like?
That was great. That was the first time in person. They came to the Deer the year I won, but had to leave that Sunday morning for some just some things that were scheduled. So seen it on TV, but it's only my second win since I've had children. So obviously first time in person, and that was pretty cool. They got to run out and do that. Shame my wife wasn't here, but this is always a bit of a tradition. It's her week off to get ready for back to school and all that stuff. So my parents and the kids and I come, and my father-in-law came this year. And so, yeah, it's pretty awesome. We've had a fun week, and they've had fun, and very, very satisfying for them to get to experience it with me.
What movie did you watch?
We never made it to a movie. They like their shows, but I thought we could get a movie, but they didn't want anything to do with me after that.
All right, let's go Adam and then Paul.
Lucas, you've been dealing with this for, I believe you said 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how or when it started and what it felt like?
5th green at Colonial.
What round?
First.
10 years
4
ago?
putt. Yeah, 2013. Maybe 14, but yeah. Just a 4 putt, like random out of nowhere. And it's been bad ever since. Some worse than others. I've played nice. I've had, I made Tour Championship a few years back, and, I've dealt with it. But, now I can say, well, man, what would have happened if I had started this a long time ago? But that'll be a painful thought. So I'm not even going to go there, because if it hadn't happened, I might not have gotten to it at this point. So, but I don't know what caused it. I don't know what started it. But it was that's exactly the first time I felt it, and it was somewhat out of nowhere.
And what What's the craziest thing you tried?
This. I mean, I made Tour Championship whenever that was, 19 maybe, with arm lock, and then went away from it. And then the year I won the Deer, it was arm lock. But I'd never gone this drastic, like something completely different. Even the arm lock is the same stroke, basically. This is a completely different motor skill, and you know, just a way to rewire my brain. And it's what I needed, because like I said, now if it's a miss, it's because of speed or read. It's not, or a bad stroke, or you know, those happen. It's not the nervy, hand shaking, just completely loss of all, never played this game before type look, which I did here. I had a putt for 59 here a few years ago and left it short and yipped the next one, shot 61. But yeah, it's been a revelation for me, and honestly, my brain, my head, it's fun, and it's been a huge positive, obviously.
Okay, Paul?
Given how many things you tried, was it startling or surprising to see this work so well and so quickly? Not
really, because of people I'd seen that went from struggling with whatever they were struggling with to that, and the success they had. I knew it was possible, and to see immediate results was a bit of a surprise. You know, I missed the cut at Memorial, but it wasn't because of my putting. I didn't hit it very good and made a 7 or an 8 on the last hole. I don't remember, but biggest shock to me was how consistent my speed was. And I kind of wanted Memorial to be my first one with it, with those greens fast and undulating, and you got to have nice touch. And my speed was impeccable that week, and that was a huge positive coming out of there. And then I played, ended up missing, I lost in the playoff at the qualifier, but I shot at 63 the first round with it, and it's been building from there, the confidence, and surprised, no. The pace at which it came, yes.
And then just wondering, on 18 there, what you kind of felt with that drive. I don't know if you saw that it got a fortuitous bounce kind of off a cart to get you back into the rough.
I did not know that. I thought somebody was joking. I heard him say that. Well, to be honest, I'd have probably laid it up anyway, so it just might have been a harder layup. But I didn't know that officially. I thought somebody was joking when they said it.
And speaking of that, talk a little bit about coming down the stretch, also the weather delay, just
Sure.
the last few hours being.
Yeah.
And if you knew what Russell was doing ahead of you.
Sure, yeah. I feel like if you get through 11 and 12 here, even, you're doing good, and then you play them one under, you're doing really well, and then you can attack. A birdie at 11, made a good par on 12, and pretty average wedge shot on 13, but good par on 14, hard hole, long new back tee and all that. And it was kind of a bummer on 15 because it was downwind pretty good before the storm, and kind of wanted to hit that tee shot, but just can't do anything about the weather. Just one of those things. Summer in the South, anything can happen, especially when it's this warm and humid. So it wasn't expected, but it wasn't a surprise either. So just come in and refuel, try to get some energy and stay loose, and get back out there. There wasn't much wind, and what was there was the same direction, so there wasn't any surprises or anything. Nice tee shot on 15 and just a bad 4-iron. And yes, to the back end of your question, because I was so far right on 15, I could see exactly what Russ was doing. And then I didn't know about 17, got to see 18, and then Tommy informed me as we were discussing our second shot on 18 that we were up 2 after he missed the putt, so that forced the layup there. It was in the back. It was 50-50 anyway, but when I knew it was up 2, it was an automatic layup.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Yep. One over here.
You seem to be, out of the contenders, you seem to be the most comfortable out there, and the result, may bear that out. How much does your experience around here and overall a factor in that?
Yeah, a lot. I think it just comes down to execution, even if you're uncomfortable. I don't know how Russ's ball got there on 16. I got a pretty good idea. So he probably hit a pretty good shot, and it just came down the hill, and then he got unlucky. I did the same thing, and I got a good break. So we probably both executed what we were looking to do, and execution and a bit of luck to win out here is what it comes down to. The experience is knowing that. All you can do is execute the shot you see and feel, and if you do, you do. If you don't, you got to go figure it out. And you also understand that 18 under pressure is a hard 4. So kind of knew that going in, and when I saw his troubles on 16, and then knew it was at least 1 going on to 18. Experience said, just hit a good tee shot, and then of course you don't. So I didn't execute. Didn't have anything to do with feeling good or bad or nervous or not. It was just execution at that point. But the experience is just knowing that, and then not getting too up or too down if you do or don't execute.
All right, Lucas, congratulations once again.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Thanks, buddy.